I will start recording. This is the event number 15 and we'll go live. I will click live and we need to click live twice. Okay, awesome. So we are live for the LinkedIn audio event. It's actually number 15. You know, I cannot imagine there's 15 events already. And the name of the event is From iSketch to AI Catch and 3D Revolution. I see the list of people which are attending is start growing, and as usually we're gonna test the system. So for the people in the audience, just give me a sign, you know, so I can know that you can hear me well. All right, awesome. Thank you very much. I also invite on the scene Big Al, and Big Al, feel free to be with us here on the stage. The small technicality for people which likes to be here with us on the stage. On the bottom right, you have a symbol like a hand. So basically you need to click on that symbol, which means you ask me to bring you on the stage. And with that, I can bring you on the stage. By default, the microphone probably it's off. So you're gonna see that line over the microphone. When you like to speak, you need to unmute the mic. So I just want to have that technical stuff presented first. The other small thing which I want to add, I do have several invites with me, Dr. Hua, Josef, and Ernesto, and also people who just join us on the stage. And the other thing which I want to mention is tomorrow at the same time, we're gonna have a similar event. The event is for the AI content creators, held usually by John and Christine. But I'm a host on that as well. Big Al also is host on that, so I will invite you guys to join us in that meeting as well. I will post also on the comments here the link to that event. So that will be the quick introduction for the event. So that being said, my name is Sandu Banchu. I'm the host for this event. I'm really passionate about AI and those amazing things which you can do with AI. But in the same time, I just want to mention, you know, from my job, you know, I'm actually a civil engineer. That's what I'm doing professionally. But also I do have background in architecture. I have degrees in architecture and also on the industrial design. And with AI, I'm exploring all those possibilities, and I found them extremely cool. And I'm trying to stay on top of the things, you know, with all the news about the AI. That's quite interesting because always there are news. And the other thing is also about the 3D. I really think the next revolution of the 3D we are actually living right now. We just need to make it better and better. And that being said, this is how I divided this particular event. Is going to be in 3 parts. We're going to talk about the innovation first time. The second part is going to be talking about the news, and hopefully toward the end we're going to talk about the 3D and, you know, all AI related items regarding the 3D and how we can do amazing stuff with 3D. So that being said, I like my invites to have a quick presentation about themselves. And we're going to start with Dr. Hua.
Thank you, Sandu. Thanks for having me. So, hi everyone. My name is Hua Bo, and I'm working as an assistant professor in interior design at Georgia State University. And I would like to make a quick clarification. So, the thing that I share today is from my personal experience and enthusiasm for AI and 3D design in general. They are not affiliated with the university I work for, but I'm here because I want to learn the new thing in the scene. I have to teach students, so I have to stay on top of everything as well, so they can be benefit from it. And again, thank you for having me.
Yes, it's a pleasure. And again, I just need to mention the same thing. You know, everything what I'm saying here is my personal opinion. It's not related to the you know, companies which I represent on other situations, but or where I work for. But this is my personal opinion about the AI. Thank you for the clarification. Also, Josef, if you want to have a quick introduction about yourself.
Yes, thank you for having us, and hello everyone. My name is Josef Diniz, and I've been an architect for the past 9 years in Milano, in Italy. Mainly, most of my experience have been based around concepts and projects around in China and Dubai. In the past year, I've been working more into retail and more executive projects. Also, for me, I haven't had the opportunity to use AI at work. It's mostly for my personal projects, but I see potential for the future. I hope in the near future to use it. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much. And Ernesto, if you'd like to have a few words about yourself.
Yeah, hi. It's a pleasure to be here with all you guys. Thank you for the invite, Sandu. And I'm a professional architect, been doing this for like 20 years now. But as of the last 5 years, I've been knee-deep in research of generative AI and more specifically, and pre-pandemic was trying to work on generating 3D meshes from 2D. Had the pleasure of working with a bunch of really nice people down here. Daniel Bolligang is basically the biggest one that I work with, and then I do actually implement AI in my architecture on the daily. So I've been fortunate enough to have to work for a firm that allows me to do that and to integrate the image generation, not 3D generation yet, but a lot of my research into what I do on the daily.
All right. Thank you very much. As you probably, for people, they listen to my previous events, you see I'm trying to make it as mixed as possible. I'm trying to touch as many industries. This is actually the first event when I'm trying to be specific for a kind of industries. Basically, all passion about the architecture and, a lot of cool stuff which architecture brings to the people. And we know that, like any other industry, also the architectural industry evolves. We see the modern architecture, in the past we have a certain styles of architecture, and now we can see, we have the modern, which was kind of floors and walls only, like boxes kind of, and now we see all those fluid forms, starting with Dr. Zaha Hadid at the time, which they create out fluid ways of having the buildings built, but in the same time that goes also hand in hand with construction and engineering. That is all those super cool shapes and forms. They need to have structural analysis and engineering supports, and it's quite complex. At that time, the reason why I'm making this introduction, at that time back in 90s or in the early 2000s, a lot of stuff they were done either by hand or with the computers as much as you can if you are at the cutting edge at the time and using final element calculation for structural analysis. But with AI right now, I'm seeing this coming. It's far more easier. The softwares, they evolve also as well, and the computing power also evolves, so we can do nice renders, we can do really interesting shapes, but in the engineering side as well, we can do really complex structural analysis, and all those shapes could be supported. And on top of that, we start having the evolution of the 3D, which is 3D printing to be specific, which means from volumes point of view and from a manufacturing point of view, where in the past having flat surfaces, it was probably the easiest way, basically modular stuff, which they were rectangular and like Lego pieces, you just install it. Right now with the 3D printing and the evolution of AI, you can actually have very interesting shapes without having the concern on the structural side. Of course, you can calculate it, you know it's gonna be really cool, but also, from the shape itself, you have more freedom, basically having round shapes, curvatures, and so on. So I think that was a really cool introduction, because that is how AI is doing. And from design point of view, you guys, how I'm doing. I'm posting many times. I'm doing a doodle. I'm posting that on Midjourney, and I'm reiterating that reference few times, make a render and upgrade it again, take the new image as a reference and upgrade it again. And I will obtain really interesting results. But that also helped me, visualizing, increasing my visual database and have creating ideas on how the future for construction and architecture will look like. So that I found it extremely innovative with AI. So that being said, I will ask also my invites how they find this AI and innovation ways of using AI for personal or more than personal experience. So, Dr. how other innovative ways of using AI you have?
Thank you, Sandu. One thing that I apply AI as well, I use a lot of Midjourney like you guys, so that's why we get to know each other. And I apply it to my teaching as well. And I saw that one of my students, he actually listening to this event. So one of the person who used Midjourney AI is here. And we actually imply AI into the design workflow. So one project that we did last semester is that we use Midjourney AI to generate idea about a light fixture, a luminaire, like floor lamp, bendon, etc. And then once we have that image rendering very well with all of the shape, texture, material, student then import it into Gravity Sketch, and then they create the 3D model. I know that there are lots of options out there to do it, but Gravity Sketch actually help with 3D printing, because once we're done with it, we have to 3D print it. So the mesh is nice. We only have to do a little bit of like touch up when we're done with the sketch, and then we 3D printed it. That's one way to use it. Another way is that I'm thinking to use this year is that using Skybox AI Blockhead Lab. I'm sure that everyone know about it. Midjourney AI can create a 360-degree environment, and then we can customize it in Skybox. Another thing that I'm interested about is Omniverse from NVIDIA. I have a lot of problem because when I try to get my student to do VR, they have a lot of limitation on hardware. Laptop are not good enough for it. If we have make them to spend more money on a desktop, it will be too much. But with Omniverse, you can actually import file from literally anything, like Maya, Blender, etc. It doesn't matter, and everything come into a virtual environment when you can actually interact with it very easily. So that's what I'm working on about now, and I will hand it over to the other speaker because they might have more things to talk about.
No, it's definitely it's so interesting, and again, another reason why I choose architecture, because we have all those 2D images, very cool, which can be transferred as a video, but also they can be transferred in 3D exactly as you said. We can extract it, or you can use the VR, or even AR as well. Augmented reality or virtual reality, and basically building that element and bring it kind of to life with 3D printing. So I think that is quite interesting. Joseph, on your side, there are any other innovative way of using AI?
So I've used it for some personal clients in a conceptual way. So instead of going through the web or searching through Pinterest for some reference images, I just generated them, added them to the presentation, and it was a way to start the concept phase. And then, for example, if the client likes a specific image and he sends it to me, let's say, I don't know, a bedroom or a dining room, I use it as a reference inside Midjourney or Stable Diffusion to generate similar ones. So I'm giving him what he wants, but in a different style or different color or mood. So I've used it personally, and I didn't have a bad feedback. Like, it worked, so there was no bad feedback. I've used it also to create, like, for example, the NVIDIA 360. I created the HDRI map, and then I placed it inside Twinmotion to create an animation. That one was not so realistic because I used Stable Diffusion and the Warp Fusion to create the animation. But I'm still trying to find a way to make it more consistent. But let's say for now, it's more about the concept phase. Even the plan, I rendered plans. I did them on AutoCAD, and then I rendered them to add some colors or, instead of photoshopping it, which takes time. In general, that's it. Like,
Yeah, no, it's yeah, it's very interesting because I want to touch also on the workflows. Like with AI, a lot of new innovation of using different software. And we know it's not only Midjourney. It's good that Midjourney is doing a lot of stuff, but still is going to be a post-processing things to be done. But in general, it's still very fast, and I kind of like to touch on that as well, workflow-wise. But also there are more other stuff, also other innovative ways, even going to the 3D a little bit. Ernesto, on your side, what other innovative ways you saw with AI?
Well, from what I actually implement very often, in the ideation phase, I always take Sketch through many possibilities, thanks to usually ControlNet and Stable Diffusion. But lately I've been using Veras by Evolve Lab, because similarly, it's basically a stripped down version, so you can input a sketch, input any kind of drawing, or even a very rough volumetric done with Rhino or even SketchUp. And that's usually where I trade it. I use a lot of asset creation for... in my office, we practice a lot of real-time visualization. We're designing usually through Revit, and I have Twinmotion running on the side all the time. So I create a lot of assets, custom assets, textures, materials, through Midjourney mostly, with the ability to be able to create custom tileable materials. So, with that, and I have my own AI that generates the other parts of a procedural map. I also explore a lot with Xcool, which is a new tool that's out there that allows me to create my own training models. So before I was using my own training models through the notebooks and Google Colabs, but now this new amazing tool kind of has allowed me to create very specific models to both my aesthetic, and then the office I work for has a very particular aesthetic. So I've fed it with tons of information. So those are pretty much the tools I use on the daily with architecture.
No, it's definitely quite interesting. And as we go in the event, I think we'll touch more on that. We have with us on the stage also 3 more people, which I didn't expect to wait a little bit too much. But feel free to come to the stage as well, please. Just click on the hand over there, and I'll bring you to the stage. So with us we have Big Al, Ren, and Dr. Astafa. So we like to have your feedback as well, and we'll go in that order. Big Al.
Hey, thanks, Sandu. As you know, I'm an illustrator in advertising. I'm not an architect, but I'm the father of an architect. My son Carl is an architect in New York City, and the last couple of years has been working on a project in Central Park that's quite impressive. My main inspiration for doing any posts related to architecture has been June Chow, who's on LinkedIn and is in Malaysia. And she does some beautiful stuff, and I got inspired by things she did recently, and I think I've got about 3 architectural related posts that I've done. But just briefly, this week I used Photoshop Beta on 2 client projects, one of which was quite interesting. They had a stock photo of a woman wearing a tank top, and they didn't like the tank top. They wanted to have a white t-shirt on her. So literally all I had to do was circle around her shoulders and the tank top, and request that they make a white t-shirt. And other than having to make a little adjustment on the shoulder with another circling and running another thing to make the sleeve a little longer, and very little retouching, I had the job done. So that's what I've been doing, and
Yeah. It's definitively saving time, and now if you want to go on the technicalities, with Midjourney you can do a lot of changes from the prompt. We can use the seed, we post different tricks how to do it, but the outcome could be adjusted really fast. That's for sure. I noticed that on my side as well. Thank you, Bigal. Ren, on your side, any feedback? The innovative ways of using AI in general.
Actually, I'm up here to ask a question.
Sure.
As you all know, I'm fairly new to this, and I've been getting some images that come with interesting typography sort of slapped up in there. It's sort of neat. But I've also been getting some that seem to have a watermark on them. And I wasn't sure if Midjourney was throwing those in there because it thought they were cool, or if it stole somebody's artwork that had a watermark in it. And since you're talking about beta, I've been doing all kinds of things with beta Photoshop to remove, add, put top hats on polar bears, and remove weird things that Midjourney put in my images and replacing them. And I've had very good success with it. Very, very good most of the time. Sometimes you have to be careful how you ask, because it didn't remove third leg, for instance. It said that was beneath it to do that. So I had to say, remove this area and replace it with the background of the image. And I thought it was a little funny. But anyway, I wondered, should I be taking those watermarks off the images, or should I be not using them at all because they've been ripped off from somebody? And that's what I want to know. Are other people getting those?
if I can respond, Sandy.
And I can add as well. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, as far as the lettering is concerned, that if you don't want any lettering on your thing, at the end of your prompt, put a parameter that is -- no words, no letters. And
Got it.
that should remove it. As far as the watermark is concerned, I see them every once in a while, but I think what you have to realize is that it is probably from a part of an image that was incorporated into the picture, and it may be that part of the picture has part of that reference in there. But it's certainly not a watermark for the whole picture, because there's multiple images that are being used to generate the image that you get.
So what you're saying then is it's not bad for me, and I won't get in trouble if I just remove the watermark, because they're easily removed. But I didn't want to get myself in any kind of legal trouble.
No. Well, first, go ahead, Sandu.
No, this is Ernesto. Hey, if I can add to that, when you're getting these generative images, you got to realize you're fishing in this vast well of information. So little fragments are coming in from other places, not necessarily the image. So that watermark does not really belong even to that image. It's the concept of a watermark that sometimes gets put on images that it was trained on. Now, per the legal wording of, say, you're generating this with Midjourney, you supposedly have authorship of what it produces. Now, copyright law says that no machine can produce things and give. So there's that weird variable. Now, like Big Al spoke of just a little bit ago, just retouch it. Like, honestly, you put it through Photoshop, generative fill, or whatever, or not even with generative, if you know how to take off a watermark, you just made it your own. Because there is no other copy of that image.
Got it.
Yeah, but on the same time, my way of doing, if I'm saying I'm not using it, but again, because I have so many other options, so I'm changing the prompt basically. So that will be my quick response on this. With us on the stage, we have also more people. We have also Brett joining us and Jericho. But we'll go next to Dr. Astafa. I know you are quiet over there, but we'd like to have your feedback as well, please.
Hey, Sandhu. Hey, company. How's everyone doing?
Great.
All right. So I want to talk about, I've just like Ren here. I've come into the community from a different profession. I've been trained as a scientist, and I've been playing around for months with you guys and learning a lot, and I really appreciate it. But I wanted to talk a little bit about in my field and where this is kind of having an impact. We've already known for a while now with the OpenAI has been really good in digging information, and as far as finding out information, looking at different chemicals and things. So they have something called now chemical informatics. And what's going on is they're using the AI not only to find now like different like chemicals in different shapes and things like that. So it's producing things that doesn't exist, but then we can actually go in the laboratory and create these molecules and these agents, and then test them for biological variability. Just that they're biological agents and actually work. And what's really cool is they're using the AI now with this 3D imaging to create actually three-dimensional antibiotics that, we haven't as humans even witnessed or came up with. So now we have new stuff to play with that the computer's generating, and then we can take that back into the biological world and then see what kind of effectiveness it has. And it's some really cool stuff. That's all.
No, that's all, but it's so cool actually. I kind of touch on other events as well. That means going to the micro printing, I'm calling. Basically, actually in 80s, IBM printed with atoms the IBM logo, basically a few atoms, and they write the three-letter IBM. Right now, also, we're going to have the molecular printing. That means we're going to get to that level. And Dr. Astafa mentioned it on the biological side, but also I think will be also on the nanorobot side as well. So it will be extremely interesting to see how the things will evolve, because now we're going to have the possibility to do the printing at the micro level. So therefore, the whole thing change. You do a design on macro level, you do design with molecules, you're not doing design with substances or shaped forms. It's actually such an interesting subject. But as I said, we have other people with us which join us, and I really like to give them the chance to have their feedback. And maybe we can switch a little bit toward the news. There are also other good products, like Midjourney. We can use also Vizcam, and that is really interesting for automotive industry. So, Brett, what will be your feedback regarding AI in innovation?
Are you asking me?
No, I was asking Brett. Brett, you need to unmute so we can have your feedback. You need to click on the... All right.
Oh.
All right. Awesome.
Hi. I have to do it. Right. Hi.
Welcome.
There's so much happening at the moment. I've been doing a lot of trying to develop more car designs in Midjourney, and it's sort of like having a bunch of junior designers. They don't really listen to me all the time, but they come up with interesting stuff. And so I see myself as like the chief designer and curator. So I'm not sketching, but I've got a creative role. And I think just about the copyright stuff you were talking about earlier, I think when there's talk of like the machines can't have copyright, I think that's not really relevant here, because in most cases, especially say you're trying to develop a car design, I'm finding there's a lot of evolution going on, lots of repeated variation loops, mainly because I don't prompt that well. So sometimes it takes me 50 to 100 loops before I find the design I want. So that's, human...
human side,
using a device, So I think copyright has to understand it. I also often, the talk is about, can we copyright or have intellectual property rights in the prompt? But I'm like, really, the prompt is not really the point, because if you take my prompt from the final version of my image, it's not the same as the beginning prompt, and it's also not really even showing what's in the image. Often the evolution loop is far more important. So this is something I think I've got to learn more about it, but I think it's something I want to ask the developers also a bit more about. And I think in the case of things like that watermark, it's really just dreaming. It's seeing watermarks and it's dreaming it. It's to me, it's not sampling. It's learned, like any designer's learned about the world and about design.
Yes.
And it's throwing out its ideas. So I think there's some subtleties about the discussion that we've got to make sure we're understanding all those different sides of it.
Yeah, well, I just want to clarify. It's the law in the United States and Canada as well. You know, if you want to apply for a patent, trademark, and so on, a machine cannot do it. That was the sense. But and again, I can give you example. NASA did design with AI for several parts for different shuttles, and they applied the patent, and that was granted. So I know that. I even post about it. But you said something very interesting. The design process, you know, trying to get that shape. Like everybody's trying that. I mean, same on my side. You know, like I have something in mind, and I can do a sketch or a doodle. And when you put it with Midjourney is so random, and many times it give you something else than you initially you intended to get.
I think it's actually good.
Right.
It's like sometimes
yes, exactly.
Like, oh, it's not what I would have drawn myself or sketched myself, but that's also how it is when you're working with a team of designers.
It's enhancing. It's the progress. Yes.
Yeah, and you incorporate it and react to it. I think that's where the creative side is. And I think, you know, we don't have to go photoshopping afterwards. It's like after that process, it's already our work.
Well, I think still will be a little bit here. The results are awesome, put in this way. You can get really awesome results. But if you want to go production, I think adjustment needs to be done from completely different other reasons. But
I'm throwing online. Sometimes I'm just doing a little, like if it takes less than a minute, I'm fixing up some glitches or adding a missing element or a bit of graphics. But in most times I'm not doing much at all. But if I was going in my portfolio or for a design proposal, I'd probably do a bit more, combine some elements from different images and a bit of Photoshop work. So yeah, it depends on the use, I think.
Yes. Go ahead, Al. Yeah.
Yes, thanks, Andrew. If I may, I wanted to ask Brett a question, especially in keeping with the sketch to AI thing that is the Sandhu's main emphasis here. Have you tried taking some of your automotive sketches? You gotta take and put them on a site where you can get a web address for it, and then enter that web address into as a prompt, so you have a visual prompt of what you have sketched yourself as a starting point for your prompt and getting results that are closer to the kind of cars that you are trying to draw.
Do you mean in Viscom or in Midjourney?
In Midjourney.
Right. Actually, I haven't tried that a lot. I have brought in some things in Midjourney or other sketches I've done elsewhere. But I think I'm still learning. In fact, in half an hour, I'm on a course on Midjourney to learn more about this. But I find that it's very hard to get something into Midjourney and have it hold that image as it was. It always wants to go off in a new direction. But I'm learning there are some techniques to try to do that, to try to hold it and get a reference image in there that I can then start to vary from.
Yeah, there are a few.
Still up around the site. And I also haven't used Viscom yet. I've done a lot of reading up on Viscom, and it's sort of in my calendar for next week to finally jump into that. So more on that later, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, when you're doing that, to keep it closer, set it the low stylized setting of as 50, and you'll come closer to your prompt.
Right. And maybe RAW as well. But I'm doing a course with Nick St. Pierre from Twitter on Maven, Midjourney for Creative, which goes through additive prompting and all the parameters in a lot of depth. So I think that's going to be really useful for trying to do that, to try to see if I can get starting point that stays with my input images.
Yeah, the Midjourney is a little bit more random than other softwares. You can use also the seed. That means you need to do that as well when you want to maintain it.
Oh, yeah, that's totally
right. But it's a little bit more random. So if you compare it with other ones, like for instance, we just talked about Viscom, they are actually maintaining a little bit closer to your initial sketch. That's what I like to have as a small clarification. And again, there are a ton of other products as well, which you can test. And at the end, it matters what's your outcome, what you are looking for. That means if you are flexible with the idea, so you can have a little bit more refreshing shapes, and that could be for architecture, for everything else, basically. Midjourney helps because it's got that kick on it, and you have different flavors. If you want to be a little bit more rigid, that means I need to have that kind of shape. Well, I think it's better to go on the 3D side and to do a 3D and try to do the alterations over there or the adjustments over there. But you maintain what you have in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm finding I'm getting so many sort of successes that I'm like, wow, I want to model that in Gravity Sketch now. Unfortunately, because you only really get one image from one viewpoint. So far from things like Midjourney, I'd have to go do some rough sketches and go into Gravity Sketch to flesh out the rest of the design and discover the design of the rear and the top and so on as I've shown. But that's the fun part too, I think.
Yeah, well, there is another software.
If I could chime in for a second.
Yeah, go ahead, Dennis.
And I got to tell you, Brent, you got to try Xcool. You got to try Xcool, xcool.ai.
Uh-huh. It's posted.
XKOOL.ai. I'll put in a link in the chat, and it's a very well stripped out version of the same kind of generative model that's working behind the scenes of Stable Diffusion with ControlNet incorporated, and the results that you look for in like the design fields. For car, in fact, renderings, I've been able to get amazing results. Especially because its training models goes through engineering things. So there's a lot of built-in mathematics for aerodynamics and things that you do want to see in the design of the car. So for a lot of industrial design type items and architectures where it sells, I can't push it enough. You should really try xcool.ai.
Okay. I saw a demo from Jake Lockyer from Arcadia in England, where they explained how they were working with different depth maps and direct control of the hand placement of the person and so on. And I realized there's a whole field there that I just don't know about, and I feel someone needs to have a course on this.
Even within Midjourney, there's a lot of control and a lot of self-referencing that you can do to yourself as a Midjourney user, that once you start creating, or even, I don't know if your designs are actually public on the internet, I've been able to train Midjourney to learn what my style is in architecture. So there's a ways to work around those limitations so you can really hone in your designs. And I work on Midjourney strictly with an initial drawing. I always put in a sketch, and that is where I start from.
Right. Yes, and just to add, you said an image, and of course you don't have the other side of the image, rotated 180 degree. I tested also CSM, Common Sense Machines, CSM.ai, and those are posted in the comments. Actually, I already posted a few days ago about other softwares as well, including Coolx. But that one is doing an approximation. The CMM is actually doing an approximation. However, the mesh which is resulted is really low mesh, basically, as quality. So you can test that as well. That means there are ways to see. That's the beauty of AI. You can always have options. With us also we have Jericho. Thank you very much for, first of all, Jericho, to be so passionate, and we'd like to have your feedback.
Thank you, I appreciate that. No, I just wanted to talk on the copyright thing from a slightly different perspective. Ernesto, I think, pretty much covered the bulk of
the conversation as far as what copyright looks like for machines and whatnot, but I want to touch on the other side of it, because what you guys are talking about, you starting with sketches and using /describe to describe images and things of that nature. Midjourney was really, really smart to have that describe function, because it encourages people to share their images into the machine. And so AI systems also learn through reinforced learning. And so, Ernesto, like you were talking about, you can, basically train your own kind of fine-tuned model by teaching it how you work and your styles and things like that. So, while the vast majority of us are professionals and are using Midjourney professionally and thereby responsibly, consider how many people are actually using Midjourney, and consider the ramifications of reinforced learning. And so when you have the ability to get on a website that strictly has watermarked images that you have to purchase, but it doesn't stop you from screenshotting those and placing them into the language models or the image models, LoRAs, whatever, and training those machines on those images with the watermarks on them. And Ren, back to your point, I think sometimes that's probably the outcome that we're getting, is the reinforced learning of people not using these tools responsibly, or being responsible in their workflows, and kind of cheating the system and grabbing things that they shouldn't off of the internet, screen grabs or snippets or, screenshots or whatever, and then using, /describe to basically generate the same image. And so I'd consider these things for everyone in the room. When you're doing this, consider the reinforcement learning of these machines and the ethical considerations behind that, moral considerations, and use these tools responsibly. I know, like I said, the vast majority of us in here probably do, but the more that we educate and bring awareness to these things with the general public in our circles, the better off we're going to be. And then the last thing that I wanted to touch on was kind of bringing it into the news and things that are new. You guys have brought up some really interesting companies, and I've got my other devices here, searching these up as you guys are bringing them up. So thank you so much for that. But one that I really wanted to bring to everyone's attention, especially those of you that need content, are in startup phase or growth phase or whatever, and you're getting generating, whether it's decks or articles, whatever. There's a app called Gamma AI, and you can basically it's one of the most intuitive AI tools I've seen with regard to content creation. For example, last night I've had on my mind this last week to write a white paper on a certain topic, basically leveraging AI to go beyond sustainability, future-proofing your business, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, let me try this Gamma AI and see if it'll write my white paper for me. And so I used about a 20-word prompt, and the intro of the white paper used that same prompt, expounded upon it, made it look a little bit cleaner, a little more clear and impactful. And then it commenced to writing me a very well-articulated, well-designed white paper that I can open up on a desktop version. I did that on my iPhone, and I can open that on a desktop version and fully edit it from images to fonts to content, copy, everything. So I encourage you all to check out Gamma AI. That's a game changer. And obviously these are all very, very early, so they'll continue to iterate and get better, right?
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Jericho. No doubt. I mean, there are so many. Of course, I have to mention a few news as well on my side. So Midjourney will release shortly the 5.3 version. It didn't pop up yet, but I'm expecting a day to come. And maybe toward the end of the month, we'll probably see also version 6. And again, they will increase their ways of having the prompts better represented, and some other biases which are addressed from what I understand. Maybe the video side, again, maybe something better than just showing the progress of the image. But on the video side, something really interesting as a big news, it's Runway. So Runway right now, it's starting doing very long videos, like 18 seconds. That is amazing. So basically you can have only one image as reference, and from that you create an 18 seconds video, which it's tremendous. Of course, just thinking about this possibility that you can have from an image and you extend it to so long, like 18 seconds, there must be a ton of other options which they will probably bring in the future, because when you expand it 18 seconds, like everybody who's doing a video, you think about pan, zooms, adjustments, lighting, effects. I'm almost sure Runway just paved the road to having so much cool stuff coming on the video side. And you guys, I presented many times, with AI, it's starting text to image. The next evolution, you're gonna animate those images, so therefore will be text to video, or you take an image from Midjourney and becomes a video animated. The next thing is gonna be 3D, and kind of I'm sweeping toward the 3D side especially for architecture. Back to my invites. With 3D, I see a lot of softwares coming. CSM, I just mentioned before, they do low resolution 3D from an image like Midjourney, but the innovative part which I'm seeing over there is the fact that they present you also the backside. So when you look to an image, you don't have the hidden part, what happens on the other side. So they come with this idea of taking the edges and approximate it, how the stuff looks on the other side. And basically it's just giving you a 3D assets. So I test that with some cars. It works quite nice. Science fiction stuff, which I'm really passionate about, I tested a few of them. They are decent. Still, they have that small challenge when the material is glass. It cannot recognize the glass, so ideal should be something solid. If it's something symmetrical, it's even better. It goes very well for organics because it's a low mesh, so if it's something like a character, if there are errors, not a big deal, you can use it. But if it's something hard surfaces, you'll see it right away that is not quite what you want. The straight line is not straight; it's a little bit bumpy, and so you can use that software CSM. It works also on Discord. So a lot of people doesn't like Discord, but you can use it on Discord. That helps. And in comparison with Viscam, it's only a desktop from what I could see. I tried it on my phone and it said, no, you need to use it on the desktop. So not really a big thing. You go on the desktop and you can do it there. The only thing which I'm seeing with Viscam is got only some limited, like 6 kind of styles, filters, how to render it. But I'm almost sure they will evolve and they will come with many other stuff. So I'll go back to the people in the audience. Any other interesting news which you guys have? Let's talk about, and feel free to post it. Yes.
I got one.
Sandu, can I mention? Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's okay, Rostaf. I'll just take a second. One more to look at for those of you listening, or we're kind of talking about workflows within AI. There is an organization, a startup company that they're not great. I will say this: I've tested it. They're not great, but they've got it. They've got the workflow. Genmo AI, GENMO.ai. Basically, you can do everything from generating new images, which again, not great quality, but you can chat with the interface and tell it to go from image to animation to video to 3D, the whole 9 yards. So, and you can do that with natural language, which is quite intuitive. I don't know of another company that's doing this yet. Like I said, quality is not there, but with something like this, it's very clear they focused more on the workflow and using ChatGPT or whatever large language model they're using there to attract people from the conversational workflow process. And then I'm assuming as they gain more traction there, they'll probably start to integrate more SDXL 1.0 or DALL-E 2 or whatever. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. Go ahead, Rostaf.
Yeah, thank you, Jericho. I wanted to piggyback actually off of something that you said, Jericho, about using the software responsibly. And I just wanted to know if you guys know or heard of. So, they actually have software where someone can take your picture off the internet and then basically display like you're nude, right? Like it's a nude picture of you. So they can take a real picture of you and then augment it such that it looks like you're nude. And now they actually, to combat that, they have a website now that if you go and you upload the original picture, they will scour the internet and actually remove these fake nude photos of you. So I thought that was pretty good use and counter use of AI.
Yeah, no, I saw that as well. I saw it, and I think the ethics with AI also, they start doing right, like it should be some safeguards. Sometimes people, they come and say, hey, well, it's censorship, but I think, no, not really, it's for the better good of everybody, of course AI can be misused, and as long as we have the protection and people are doing the right thing, I think AI is tremendous. Jericho?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm right there with you. I didn't really have anything to add to that. I think you guys covered that well. That's most of the conversations that I have. I've kind of found myself at this central hub location of ethical and responsible use, development, and integration of artificial intelligence into various businesses across mental, physical health. Content creators, you name it. And so these are the conversations that I have on a regular basis. And, there's a lot out there when you're talking about, these large language models and whatnot. You can go with like Mosaic machine learning and develop your own tools, but it's not going to be the most probably ethically parametered system. Whereas Anthropic, for example, Anthropic is really focused on being responsible, ethical, and all of these things. So I just challenge you to do your research, continue to do your research, find somebody who's just doing this on a regular basis, like myself. I work about 20 hours a day staying knowledgeable for my network, and it's a lot to keep up with, but it's imperative that we understand the tools, that we understand the right tools, and that we understand the responsible implications or the ethical and moral implications of the tools that we're using, and how they align with our own visions and our own core values within our business, so that we're protecting brand. It's very imperative today's day and age to protect that brand. So again, just continue, everything that you guys do. I just encourage, to continue to look at it from that lens and everything that you do.
Yeah, and that happens very, very fast as well. AI is evolving. Just look back, where we were with AI 6 months ago or 1 year ago. But I like to switch toward the 3D. We kind of have the last part of this event, not too many minutes left. But back to architecture. In architecture, usually, when you have your idea about a house or shapes, you think like a volume, so basically it's a 3D, and yes, you kind of need to do it in 2D, the floors and, different elevation sections and so on. But in the old ways of doing architecture, we did have really nice software, like, back in the 90s, I was using 3D Studio Max, Maya, and I know with those 3D, like using NURBS and curvatures, you get really interesting software, but interesting results with that software. But it was always manual, and kind of, it was slow. No doubt, it was actually really slow. But right now with AI, I noticed that we have this possibility of creating 3D shapes quite interesting. And maybe I will go back to my invites, Dr. Hua and Joseph. Is any way which you guys use AI to go on the 3D side? And Ernesto, I know you'll use the Xcool, but I'm just curious, did we use it in a different way with all those old softwares, enhanced it from 3D Max or from Maya?
Go ahead, Hoa, please.
I would say I have not experienced so much in the 3D of AI, but something you can look out for is ChatUSD from NVIDIA. because they say they base up on OpenAI ChatGPT, and it actually can connect into Omniverse, and you type in a prompt and say, I want to have a scenario with this and this and that, and it will automatically create the whole 3D scene for you.
Yeah.
They just talk about it in SIGGRAPH this year, so I'm not sure how soon we can get our hand on it. And in the meantime, you can play with ChatGPT for Python code and put it in Blender. It will give you the same 3D model output, but I have not go deep into that area yet. So I would like to listen to anyone have used ChatGPT to write code for Blender.
Yeah, I have a surprise. Actually, I posted something about how to do some parametrics in Blender, but I will keep that toward the end. Yes, Ernesto.
Honestly, guys, there's so much to talk about. An hour is never enough. A quick aside, like the human aspect of interaction that has been a resurgence of, thanks to all these AI tools that have been happening, the connections I've built within the last 5 years do not compare what happened to the 15 years before that. It's amazing the level of progress and the level of connection, human to human connection. Dr. Estafa mentioned something at the beginning, and it's that he said, hello, community. And that is the thing. Like, this has built communities. We worry about, will AI take over our jobs? Blah, blah. It's created communities. Right now, this is a community that's amazing. Anyway, I do want to touch, because I have to unfortunately go back to building real buildings. And on shape form finding, I highly recommend you guys look at the research of Daniel Bolorian and Matias del Campo, because how they are integrating AI to just form find. It's an amazing thing. Daniel Bolorian in particular worked with Wolf Prix. So the type of forms that I've been able to generate thanks by piggybacking to his Google Colab notebooks, which are open to anyone, is amazing. And that's part of what I actually do. You know, most of my office's actual build work, yes, it's very orthographic at the result, but there's a lot of preemptive form research that we do thanks to AI, because we can produce such a massive amount of test examples and try to optimize that, you know, the end result is usually better than what we could have done on our own with just by drawing a couple of iterations of any kind of project. And another thing that I've been exploring a lot with my own research, with that form finding, and you guys touched on it, is that secret back of an image. I've been able to take an image, a 2D image, and generate a very high definition mesh model of it. But if you think about a cube has 6 sides. We can generate 5, but it's that back end that always tricks the AI. Because it gets the information from one side, it gets the information from the other side, but then how does it meet that back end? That's what I personally, on my research, I bailed out. I honestly, and I know NVIDIA is working on something much further than what they've allowed us to see, but it's any day now, it's going to break. That 6th space, that back end of it, that's what's holding up true 2D to 3D generation. Is finding that merging in the back where all the seams can come in. And especially when we get into less than orthographic architecture. It's easy to do a 6-sided cube, but what happens when your shape has more than 6? And N+1 learning, which is another model of learning, and I suggest you guys research it. It's taking us that direction.
Yeah, no doubt, and that will be the 3D revolution. Always I'm trying to emphasize on that. And the good part, exactly as you mentioned, you know, the video itself, when you go all around, the scanning technology, basically, it gives you the 3D exactly. And right now we are at the verge of identifying the back, basically reconstructing the back of the image, which comes from text to image. regarding the creative AI lab with Daniel Bolojan, because the name is Romanian, so I'm trying to get, maybe on the next event, I'm trying to see if Daniel is available and join us, because I really like to see more on this aspect of the AI, the 3D part. There are also other stuff which happens, like all those, let's say, like open source software. We just mentioned Blender. I think that is going to be also a tremendous help, because I noticed several posts that by other people, and for instance, for gaming, you can have all those castles generated and they are dynamic. Basically you can adjust it in real time and you can build them up, and logically it's same principle as you have for creating an image with AI. There is a database which is in 3D, similar like Xpool have, and basically they mesh it up, they combine them, and you as a creator, you have the option to decide what's the nice shape. You basically do a design. That's my point. And I do think at one time will be a day when you're gonna do a live design with your client as an architect. They come to your office, and in half hour you already designed the whole thing in 3D, and you just shake the hand and say, okay, please, here is the button for 3D print, click on it, and thank you very much. So I mean, that's, it might look like a dream, but I'm telling you, it's possible. At one time, this is possible. So unfortunately, we reached toward the end. I usually let one person to have the closing. So Dr. Hua, would you like to do the final words and closing the event?
I think I will go back to the ethic, especially at Jericho saying. As well, when I do Midjourney for my student, I have to read really carefully about copyright. And actually, we buy an enterprise subscription. That means all of the creation of student is private. Nobody can see it except for the student. So whenever you use AI and you want to incorporate it into something like education, research, you have to make sure that you look into the copyright and try to be ethical at best, to your best ability.
Yes, of course. And in the same time, you train the AI. Like people will say AI is bad. Well, we train it to be bad if we not doing the ethical thing. If you do it ethically, you train the AI ethical as well. So, that's an excellent point. Yes. So that being said, yeah, go ahead.
Senator, I just wanted to add one more promo about the main event tomorrow, if I may.
Yes.
We've got 92 people signed up for tomorrow, and there are some really spectacular talents that are in that group if they show up. I know there's about 3 people I saw that are planning on being there tomorrow. I know Spirit and Joy and Ren are planning on being there, but I think there may be some more people as well. Frankly, with the group of people that's coming tomorrow, I think we could do a day-long seminar with all of them contributing to it. It's a spectacular group, so please join us tomorrow.
Yeah, and just to mention, I will post the link. I think I posted, but I will make sure the link it's posted to the comments of this event. It's tomorrow at noon, same time. It's the event number 28. So you look to that link. And regarding regarding the next week it will be the event number 16 for iSketch to AI Catch, and I will see you there. Thank you very much again, and we'll keep in touch. Thank you.
Thanks, Anu. Bye.
Bye.